All right, crew. We got a lot to talk about today. We've got a very special guest joining us for the stream, guys. We'll be talking about Ahsoka a lot. We'll be talking about The Exorcist Believer. And man, these horror movies are just doing great. I mean, look at Megan opening the year, and now we're here in October. Exorcist Believer, which, let's be real, the Eras Tour movie opens next week. It's going to clip its wings, y'all. So there's a lot to talk about today, some MCU updates. Lot to get into, guys, but let me first introduce my co-host with the most, my man Loretto. What's going on, man? How are you? Dude, you got the hat? Oh, man. Y'all both got the headgear. I should have got the memo, bro.
Good evening. Yo, my Niners are up big on them Cowboys. I'm very, very happy indeed. Love the Ahsoka finale. Exorcist was okay, but honestly, it's been a pretty good week so far, man. Glad to be back on time as usual. I was at the Niner game last week, so.
This man, he been at the Niners game. You've been killing it, man. And dude, I gotta get some Ahsoka headgear. Y'all making me a little jelly right now. But y'all, I want to introduce for the first time on this channel, but not the first time collaborating. We've got my very good friend coming to the channel for the first time, and I'm glad to get him on here. My man Deibs, aka MrCrockPot on Twitter. What's going on, man? How you been?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on, man. I don't know about that, but guys, we have a lot to talk about with Ahsoka. A lot of bad, some good, but I'm excited where it's going, and we'll break it down.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for joining us. Just tell the people real quick what you do and where they can find you.
All right. Yeah. If you love Philly sports content, I work with Edge of Philly Sports. I'm one of the partners there. I also work with Bleeding Green Nation. I do a ton of Lo. I hear you, man. They're roasting the Cowboys right now. They're looking good. We'll see. We'll see in a few weeks with the Eagles and the Niners match up there. But if you love the NFL draft, I do weekly shows on that. And yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a while. It's been a minute since I've talked Star Wars movies. It's been a minute.
We're glad to have you, man. And let me tell y'all something. I don't want to see either of your teams, okay? Y'all go ahead and stay over there, all right? I don't want to see neither the Eagles or the 49ers, okay? Because I know my Broncos will get absolutely fucking demolished. Like, I don't want to see it.
Pretty much.
So y'all enjoy. But we're going to dive into Listen, man, I don't even want to talk about my Broncos. I'm more excited to talk about y'all squads than mine. But we got some people in the house. What's going on, G. Colby? Good to see you, man.
What up, Colby?
What's up, Mike? Novice Cinephile. Good to see you, brother.
Mike.
Tyler saying Deibs is ready for the final season of Brotherly Shove.
Is that not the most, like, other than the Taylor Swift BS, like this thing that they're trying to ban, the Brotherly Shove, is the most ridiculous storyline in football, period. Like, 1,000 teams do it across college and the pros. Nobody does it as good as the Eagles. Yet, because the Eagles are so good at it, they want to get rid of it. It's so bogus.
It's football. I mean, like, as an outsider, as a non-Philly fan, I don't even care. It's football. Like,
it's so dumb.
Shove the pile.
Like, come on. It's because you guys do it so well, like you said. They're like, we gotta come down with something.
It's ridiculous. Perps in the house too.
Everybody hates us, man. All right, I didn't mean to make this a sports pod. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, man. I actually love hearing you guys talk about it because I'm like reeling over here. So it's fine. But y'all, we're going to get into our first segment. Welcome to Rate Your Hype, guys, where we rate upcoming movies 1 to 10. But this stream, we want to do a special occasion. We want to rate our top 5 Star Wars characters this time. Guys, we got that Ahsoka finale this week, so it feels only fitting to talk a little bit more Star Wars. So, guys, let's start with our top 5 Star Wars characters. Loretto, I'm going to you first. I think I know who your number 1 is, but I'm going to let you take it away.
Hey, I'm going to be honest. Let's throw this down to our special guest. I'm actually unorganized. I do not have my list prepared right now.
Ooh. All right, Deibs, I'm coming to you first.
No, Ray is. I love the comment from Perp. Ray is not on my list. Shocking. Number 5, got to go Kanan from Rebels. Kanan is. What I love about Kanan is not overly attached to the Jedi code, man. What separates this guy, he's vulnerable, he's insecure, he's always learning. He's got a super unique story. He learned to use his blindness as his advantage. That scene in Rebels where him and Hera basically like declare their love for each other, they embrace, and then the sacrifice to save Ezra, to save Hera. Peak Star Wars content, man. I love that scene so much. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of Rebels love if you don't know me already. Number 4, Obi-Wan. Shout out to the showdown between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. Kenobi's dynamic with Maul is one of my favorites. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Darth Vader, number 3. I got to give a shout out to Twilight of the Apprentice. One of the best Star Wars scenes of all time. The scene where Darth is riding down on that TIE fighter and confronts Ahsoka. So epic, emotional, terrifying, amazing, all at once. Truly peak Star Wars. And I just gotta love the redemption that Star Wars, the commitment Star Wars has given to Anakin to that redemption, that like he was done wrong. And they really tied it so well with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. But Darth Maul, my number 2, trained by Darth Sidious from the mean streets of Dathomir, took down Qui-Gon. Jedi powers are elite. Orchestrated the takedown of Mandalore. Dude is legit crazy. Gotta love Darth. And for me, number 1, Ahsoka Tano, led by my man Loretto there with the hair. She's just arguably the most developed Star Wars character of all time. So many of the Jedi that are like the elite of the elite are just dumb. They're so conflicted. Not my girl Ahsoka. She sees through all of the Jedi bullshit and she don't give a fuck. That's why she's my number 1.
Ahsoka number 1. I think somebody else might have her at number 1 as well, but I'm not gonna spoil. Low, take it away, my man.
Yeah, so real quick, I mean, it's hard to do this because there's so many great characters. Like, shouts out Captain Rex, shouts out. I actually like Mace Windu. I know some people don't like Mace Windu, but I always thought he was cool. Even like, Attack of the Clones and him not granting Anakin the rank of master. I thought it was hilarious. Everyone thinks he's an asshole.
Listen, I'm like, bring that hammer down, bruh. No, that one ain't it.
And of course, like Sabine and Hera, like I love them to death, but they didn't crack my top 5. So shouts out to all the wonderful characters in the universe. Also, my boy, what's his name? Actually, I can't even think of his name right now. Let's keep it going. Number 5, I'll go with Chirrut. I just love Chirrut Imwe. It's played by Donnie Yen in Rogue One. So he embodies like everything I love about like Star Wars, but also like everything I love about obviously if it was the time of the Jedi, he would be a Jedi, but I love the idea that he was one with the Force in a manner that had nothing to do with that Jedi Order. He just believed in the Force, and I love that. And also, of course, the sacrifice at the end. I am over the Force with me. One of the most powerful scenes in all of the franchise. Number 4, I got to put Anakin up there. I know some people love Anakin. Some people are kind of like on the fence about him because they only know him from the films. But I'm talking about Clone Wars Anakin, and I'm so happy that the Ahsoka show is showing that more positive, more supportive side of Anakin, because the films really paint him in a dark light, and we didn't get enough of that positive manner. We've spoke about this before, Leah. So if you haven't seen the Clone Wars Anakin, that era of Anakin, it's a whole different like side of the character that you really get attached to as you watch the Clone Wars. So that's my number 4. Number 3, shouts out to Yoda. And this is going back to when I first saw Empire Strikes Back, man. He is like, he's like, what's his name? God, I'm blanking on names right now. Karate Kid. He's like Mr. Miyagi, alien frog form. He's the grand wise master. He plays all the riddles, do or do not. There is no try. Everything Yoda embodies is just beautiful, and I love that he's the smallest character, but he's the most powerful Force user, and he's wise, he's all knowing, and seeing him in The Last Jedi literally brought me to tears. Like, that's one of my favorite scenes ever. I love how old man Luke, and he's still bonking him on the head with a stick, like, you've not listened or learned nothing. Like, it just, Leota will always be the wise old man, and I love that. That's my number 3. Number 2, gotta shout out to Obi-Wan. Both incarnations of the character. Alec Guinness is amazing. Sir Alec Guinness. Ewan McGregor, of course. Although I didn't love the show, he just captures the essence of Obi-Wan so well.
Man.
His voice, his emotion, the way he carries himself. And it was funny because when you watch episode 1, it's like, oh, wow, he does a really good Alec Guinness impersonation. But as the films grew, he grew into the Obi-Wan character and made it his own. By the time we get to Revenge of the Sith and he's telling Anakin he loves him and he was the chosen one, you're just torn up. And I love the journey with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's not the perfect Jedi, but he's flawed, but there's so much to root for behind him, and that's why I love him. And obviously, my number 1, Ahsoka Tano. I mean, Deibs illustrated it so well. She was the bravest soul to see through what the Jedi did wrong, and she walked away. And I think that's probably one of the most impactful and most like emotional moments in all of Star Wars. The moment she steps away from not just the Jedi Order, but from Anakin, who, you know, was like her big brother, and she like made the choice that I can't do this anymore. I'm walking away, and I think it's so powerful. Also shouts out Siege of Mandalore. Her ascent in that 4-part series is just amazing to watch.
Amazing. Speaking of like walking away, like I loved. We'll get into Ahsoka soon, but like her leaving Anakin, leaving the Jedi Council was like the nail in the coffin for Anakin. Yeah. And she recognized that in Ahsoka, and you know, kind of the maturity, her wisdom. Like she was like, "I'm not going to do this to Sabine. I can't do this again." And that was, casuals won't recognize that, but that's really cool.
So good, man. Now I feel left out. I don't got Ahsoka at 1, so spoiler there. But I'm gonna start with number 5, a character that's already been named off. And Lo, you said people might not like him, but listen, Mace Windu is in my top 5, bro. I mean, flashback is a little bit of a deep cut, but Clone Wars, the 2D animated series, when he took on all those droids with like a couple of stormtroopers with him, I was like, oh my God, this is some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen, for him to just jump in, crush them with this single force crush, and blow through an army of droids basically all alone. So
and he was knocking them out too. He was,
yeah. He's like punching them. I'm like, is this a Jedi? Like straight up, just like boxing on these droids like this. So honestly, I wanted to see so much more of that character in the movies. He gets so much spotlight in the 2D Clone Wars series and the 3D the Clone Wars series. Didn't give a lot of time to him in the movies, and it kind of illustrates him to be like pretty messed up. I mean, yeah, he did deny Anakin, but you got to look at it from a realistic standpoint. Anakin from the movies, bro, he's a little unhinged. So I don't blame him and Yoda for making that decision. But man, Mace Windu comes in at my number 5. Obi-Wan, number 4. Didn't love the show, but I loved Ewan McGregor's performance in the show. I really like him and Alec Guinness's version so much. I've been really into that character since I've been a child. So honestly, Obi-Wan easily makes my top 5. Then I'm coming to you guys as number 1, Ahsoka Tano. For all the reasons you've said, she's been the most followed character we've seen. It's been such a treasure to see a Star Wars character that has grown throughout a show, transcended into live action. It has been so cool seeing these dynamics. And at least I would even say in Mando a little bit more. They capture her fighting style very incredibly in The Mandalorian when she had the 2 dueling lightsabers. I thought the live action choreo, at least in Mando, and we'll talk about the Ahsoka show a little later, but at least in Mando, I really, really enjoyed the Siege of Mandalore episode. I need that to be released in theaters.
Oh, man.
Like, I need a theatrical cut of that. They actually showed episode 5 in like select theaters, and I'm like, Ahsoka episode 5, and I'm like, oh my God, why was it not here?
Yeah,
I really wanted to see that on a big screen. But yes, that character, seeing her grow, man, from Snips all the way to the wise Ahsoka that she is now and learning those lessons, beautifully done. Then number 2, I got both Darth Vader and Anakin. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as saying they're the exact same character, but they're just seeing this descent from Anakin to Vader and then seeing the coming back. And also, not to mention, like you were saying, Lo, the Clone Wars stuff that we saw with Anakin was such a great development of that character, fleshing him out even more, showing his leadership skills, showing his fighting style. And I loved bringing in that version into Ahsoka because we got to see Hayden Christensen be that version of Anakin. We got to see him, you know, being playful with Ahsoka and being that leader, that commander of the army. And I love that, man. Like I loved getting him in live action. I was like, if there's any way they could bring him back again in that iteration, in that Clone Wars Anakin, want to see some more. And then number one, always has been my number one throughout the entire tenure I've watched Star Wars, Luke Skywalker. When he walked in, and I can say a little bit that this really changed the scope of the Mandalorian and live action stuff a little bit, but when he walked in Mandalorian season 2, I fucking lost it, man. Like, I absolutely lost it. And listen, I loved him in The Last Jedi as well. I thought, hey, he got to come back and be the hero again. I love The Last Jedi for that purpose. And then you also have him come in and save the day again. This man saves the day so damn much. I had to put him at my number one, guys.
So good.
I absolutely love Luke Skywalker, man.
So
my
good.
favorite. So good. Were there any more honorable mentions, dude? Hey, Chimway,
I was
so good. So good, Flo.
I was blanking on his name, but shouts out to Babu Frick.
Oh, Babu Frick.
The droid is ready. Yes. I love those guys.
Impersonation. Holy shit. That was perfect.
My man Babu
so
Frick. Love that guy.
I'm glad he came, like that little species of people like popped up in Mando too. I'm like, awesome. We get some references here. Din Djarin was another one. And Grogu. I really liked them, especially in the first season of The Mandalorian. Really brought me back into Star Wars, to be honest with you guys, because Rise of Skywalker, that kind of put me on a trajectory of not really loving Star Wars as much as I did. So Mando really recaptured the spirit in that first season.
I low-key really enjoy Saul Guerrero. I think his name is right, Saul.
Oh yeah,
he's great. What my favorite parts of Star Wars are when they're in that gray area of like not Jedi, not Sith. It's kind of like Saul has like good intentions, but he does it in ways that aren't exactly great. And I love that bit of Star Wars. So Saul is a great character who's kind of been in films and animated series and things like that. And I've thoroughly enjoyed every time he's come across any medium.
And this is coming from somebody whose list is mostly characters that are Jedi. The most like interesting characters are those gray characters. Are those characters who are kind of skirting the line a little, kind of running through. And then some of the people who are behind the scenes who are heroes, like Andor, Jyn Erso in Rogue One, that whole team of people. I like the kind of behind the scenes, boots on the ground heroes. And I hope we get more of that in Star Wars, because it feels like it's a magnet for the Skywalker saga. We just kind of keep getting pulled back in. And I'm like, I want to see the bigger, greater galaxies. So hopefully we'll see some more of that.
Also, shouts out to Asajj Ventress, who was kind of turning into an anti-hero towards the end of her arc.
So
she'd be in my top 10 if I had a top 10. So
that battle between her and Anakin in the 2D Clone Wars, so damn good, man. And then in the 3D, when it was like her and her sister versus Dooku, and he's like blind. Bro.
Yes.
Shout out Dooku, by the way. I actually love his lightsaber style. He's got that like Count royalty kind of lightsaber style where it's like more
a
of
musketeer
like
or
sword
some
play. Yeah, it's like more of like
on guard
Renaissance sword play kind of deal. I love it, man. I love it. So great characters all around. We gotta go ahead, Deibs.
Animated Thrawn was amazing. I mean, I very much enjoyed Thrawn. We'll get into the the positives and the negatives of Thrawn in the live action one, but I just love Thrawn so much, and I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful they get it right.
Oh no, you didn't like live action Thrawn?
We'll get to it.
Uh-oh. We got Kyle Arking. Ooh, deep cut at number 5 for Nestra Rowe. Holy shit, I'm pretty sure she's just Legends, so right on. 4, Darth Maul. 3, Padme Amidala. Okay. 2, Anakin Skywalker, and 1, Asajj Ventress. Man, Asajj with them twin sabers, bro. So damn good. So good. What's going on, Crystal Kyber? Thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
That's amazing.
Welcome.
Crystal.
Mace also originally was why General Grievous had his breathing problems. Yep. Crushed him in. Crystal Kyber saying Maul over all. Deep cut with the name, by the way. Crystal Kyber. So that's awesome.
So good.
By the way, that's Chirrut's first line in Rogue One. He's like, "What do you know about Kyber crystals?"
Boom!
And then like Jin Urso is like 100 feet away. She's like, what? Like she's nowhere near him, and he's like, what do you know about kyber crystals?
Tanya's oh my god.
I love Chirrut, dude. Chirrut's great.
We got a Jar Jar Binks shout out, y'all.
Sure.
Jar
If you like him,
Jar Jar,
Joe-san.
man, it's still on the table.
Darth Jar Jar.
Listen, man, you never know what twist or turn can come next. Oh man, but y'all, we have really enjoyed talking favorite Star Wars characters. Our top 5 is so hard to narrow down, isn't it? If you're still around, let us know your top 5 down in the comments. But we are going to move into the main meat and potatoes of the show, where my boy Lo is taking over. Let's move on.
All right. Going from one universe to the next, let's peek in on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They just revealed a tentative new release date schedule and synopses for several shows. Mind you, shows that me and Leo, we actually thought were falling off to the wayside. So it looks like Spider-Man Freshman Year does have a release date. Agatha
Woo!
Darkhold Diaries, I hate the name, but Agatha is still on the table. Ironheart still on the table, and of course, we saved Daredevil Born Again. It has a fresh release date. Let me pull these up real quick, but in the meantime, I'm gonna throw it down to you, Deibs. What's your general feel with the current phase of the MCU? Do you like the direction it's at? Do you think it's not working? Like, how do you feel about it right now?
It's too much. There's too many characters. There's too many arcs. There's too much. There's just too much going on. The only one that I'm actually interested with the ones here is Daredevil. If they do it right with Spider-Man, flying around the rooftops, like give us that. I've been wanting that for years. I still think Daredevil can be done well, but Ironheart, Agatha, Spider-Man Freshman Year. I feel like I heard about Spider-Man Freshman Year like 5 years ago. Like it's been.
We thought it was canceled.
I can't believe that's still in development.
Yeah, apparently it's happening, and it's an animated version of Tom Holland's Origins, if I'm not mistaken, right, Leo?
So it's an animated version of that character, but it's an alternate take. But we're gonna get like closer to the comic book. So we're getting Harry Osborn. We're getting all kind of people from the comic book iteration of Spider-Man. So I'm super hyped for that one.
So I got the schedule, guys. Oh, go ahead, Deibs. Go ahead.
My just general take is they need to fast forward everything, and I mean everything, when it comes to X-Men and Fantastic Four into the MCU. I'm tired of waiting. I get the strikes. I get all of that. But there's just been too much setup. There's been too much delay, gratification. I get they're trying to build, new stories and things like that, but it's been so overwhelming. There's been so many swings and misses, top to bottom, from Disney Plus to the movies. I did like the new Guardians, though. I did see that.
Oh, that's so good.
It was very good. But it's been probably the lowest for me the MCU has been in a long, long time, maybe ever.
So now I got the schedule for you guys, and I think with the writer's strike ending, they're just trying to hit the ground running. And first up on the docket, guys, is the show everyone's been waiting for. January 2024, we're getting Echo. And then later in the early part,
I thought you meant X-Men 97, and I was about to be like, yeah.
You like that? I'm not sure who asked for that show, but I'm gonna watch it. I liked her. I liked her character. But early 2024, we are gonna get X-Men 97. In September of next year, we will get
baby.
Agatha, and supposedly we will get Freshman Year in the fall as well.
Jeez.
And then early 2025, we will get Daredevil Born Again. And then in the fall of 2025, which I think is interesting, they're placing Ironheart. So they're spreading those out for that year. But I also imagine it's because of the films, which they're going to try to pack into 2025. So I agree with Deibs. I think it's getting a little overpacked. It's getting a little dense. And I mean, I don't know what the solution is, because I know the Marvel machine is an engine that can't possibly stop running at this point. It's a cash cow. They're gonna milk it, but to what end, right? So I mean, are we going to start losing fans? Are we start losing faith in the franchise? I'm not sure. I'm not there yet. But how do you feel about it, Leo?
Man, so there's some things that I'm like wildly excited for, and then there's some stuff that I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, that can fall by the wayside. But what's most interesting here is Ironheart is already shot and done, and they've moved it all the way out to be lining up with Armor Wars. And I don't know, it feels a little late, especially because they just introduced the character in Wakanda Forever. I'm like, hey, like, let that be the first show that comes out. And there were a lot of people that liked her in Wakanda Forever. Let that be the first show that comes out near or after that movie. Like, give us a little bit more of Ironheart after that. But I get it. They're trying to line it up with Armor Wars. I just find it is going to be a little bit weird. That is going to be like, oh, yeah, it's been done since 2022, but here it is in 2025. Everybody looks older and such. So it's going to be bizarre. A little bit odd.
That is such a bizarre way to tell her story. But I liked her, though.
Yeah, I did. I thought Dominique.
I can't remember her last name. She was great, though.
She was great, though. I really liked her a lot. Spider-Man freshman year, dude, I could not be more excited. Like you said, Lo, I was like, is this canceled? Because I haven't heard nothing from it. Once I saw this report come in, and oh man, we're getting so many different Spider-Man suits. We're getting Harry Osborn, we're getting Norman Osborn, we're getting Otto Octavius. We're getting all these classic Spider-Man characters back in an MCU-like setting. Okay, Dominic Thorne, that's what I thought.
There it is. Thank you, Colby. He's always got us with the names.
Yeah, man.
Me and you be blanking, man.
Right, man. I'd be like, huh? But yeah, Spider-Man freshman year, I'm so excited. Daredevil Born Again, another one I'm stupid hyped for. I mean, I know that I'm the only one in this stream that loves She-Hulk, but I loved She-Hulk and I loved Daredevil's appearance in it. I thought they did an awesome job of capturing a little snippet of the hallway fight. Wasn't quite the length of a Daredevil hallway fight in the Netflix shows, but hey, they gave us a little something. So I was really happy with what they gave us. Can't wait to see the MCU's take on it. Where I'm worried there is Frank Castle is like number 3 on the cast list. And I'm like, how we gonna have the Punisher up here punishing people? On a Disney
I hope they don't overdo it. It's not like, I hope they don't overstuff that show, But
yeah, we'll see what happens there. But it does sound like from the synopsis, the main focus is going to be Daredevil and Kingpin. So I'm like, okay, that to me sounds like the same energy we got from the Netflix shows. Agatha, don't really need it, man. I mean, could have been a special presentation, in my opinion. If we really had to have it, chop it down to a special presentation, make it a quick little 45 WandaVision extra, and we're good. Then you don't even have to watch it or anything, but nah. X-Men 97, over the moon, bro. Now, there was like a rumor.
Asking, early 2024, Perp.
Yep, early 2024. But there was like a rumor going around that apparently it was going to be in the style of What If, and if it's going to be in that 3D style, I'm not excited. But they showed some concept art at Comic-Con 2022 that looked to be in the same style of the classic X-Men animated. So I think that rumor is a little bunk, but if it's in that What If style, I'm not going to be happy.
And over here, Tyler's speaking facts. Meanwhile, Blade fell into the void, guys.
Fell.
No mention of Blade, which is tragic because who doesn't want to see Mashallah Ali as Blade? I mean, really, really strange. It's unfortunate that happened.
You know what? In Daredevil? Oh, go ahead, Deibs.
That's my problem is like there's like the puzzle pieces are on the table for having a great phase 4, phase 5, like Blade and more Miss Marvel. And if they trim the fat from all of the content, Disney Plus content, like and just double down on the characters that mean the most, sometimes less is more. And I still think phase 5 could be terrific because everything's there, but like everything just feels so muddled and all over the place, and like no real clear cohesion or direction. Or like I just wish we had instead of 1,000 Disney Plus shows, give us a Disney Plus show on a character that matters in X-Men, like a Rogue show or something, or make X-Men 97 part of the MCU and make it about Rogue or something meaningful rather than give us all this fluff and fat and things that don't really matter. That's all set up and it doesn't go anywhere and it's meaningless. That's my take. Like, stop giving us like these shows that are truly just to keep you subscribing to Disney Plus And tune in next year when we just use this show to introduce another hero or another villain that we might see in 5 to 10 years from now. It's just been kind of bogus. It's all just. Ugh.
Yeah, I think Colby said, he said Agatha just screams content for Disney Plus, and I mean, it's starting to feel that way at this point, especially with some of the shows not kind of hitting and missing. Some people didn't love Hawkeye, some people didn't love Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and
Echo. Like, I mean, it's just like Echo was a nice side character in Falcon, or not Falcon, in Hawkeye, but I'm like, a show, I don't know, man. It just feels like too much extra.
I love the
downloaded content.
It didn't feel like a character that needed a show.
I love the comment about Eternals. Does anybody even remember Eternals anymore?
I love the Eternals, man.
I love that movie.
I hate that it got such a bad rap. I love the Eternals.
Man, I love it. But you know what? I do get the criticism about it needing to be a TV show. And I do think it could have been mapped out a little bit better as a show.
Or like Captain Marvel. Where the hell she been?
And she's gonna be in the Marvels, and I'm like, okay, she could have been in Secret Invasion. She could have been in Miss Marvel. She could have been in all these other shows, and at the end of Shang-Chi, why doesn't she show up and be like, hey, we need you for the Avengers, bro? I'm like, missed opportunity right there to make Carol a big tentpole character in this next phase, and she's just been reduced down to a cameo in Endgame, and I'm like, all right, come on.
What I heard was because she worked with the director Daniel Destin on a film prior. They're good friends, and I heard she cameoed just because they're friends. So, like, there was no like story relevance to her appearing. It was just like, hey, I'm cool with the director. Let me just hop in this real quick.
It would have been cool if she like appeared and was like, hey, we're building a new team. We need you to be a part of it. Boom, get Shang-Chi closer knit into these Avengers, into the next Avengers team. Honestly, I would have changed Secret Invasion into an Avengers movie. I would have just ended Phase 4 with a Secret Invasion Avengers movie with Falcon and our new Captain America, Carol Danvers, have Shang-Chi show up, Miss Marvel. Just have like a new Avengers team do like one movie together. I think that's maybe one thing we're missing a little bit here in these phases.
Right.
But
kind of bring us back in. Like bring everybody in for a second, bring everybody back. Like
group everybody up for a second.
But I mean like the audience, because I feel like they're losing some of their audience right now. So they got to bring us back somehow. And I think that would be a good way
Listen, and I've been hyped. I loved Phase 4, but Phase 5 so far, I did not really like Ant-Man. I hated Secret Invasion, man. Secret Invasion, I can go on and on. But so far, Phase 5 has been a little sticky, but I'm still really hyped, honestly, for the future. I think we've got some bright things ahead. Daredevil, Spider-Man, I'm here.
I think between Ironheart and Daredevil, I think people will be pleasantly surprised, but that's if people are invested enough to tune in at this point. So we'll see how that goes. But with the writer's strike ending, we do have some other news as well.
No. Don't worry, Taylor Swift is on her way to the MCU. So she'll be Dazzler.
Good God, please no.
Oh my God.
But onto some other news. Now that the strike is over, Fantastic Four and Superman Legacy from the DCU will have full cast announcements once the Screen Actors strike has ended. The Screen Actors Guild is still working out their negotiations. So this is fantastic news, in my opinion. No pun intended. I'm kind of curious because the internet right now is in an uproar of who they wanted. And I think that's the most like frustrating thing about fandoms is they get so hung up on who it should have been and who it could be. It's like, just let it be. Let the people live in the character and then we'll judge the film when it comes out. But me personally, I'm excited, whether it's John Krasinski or Paul Mescal or Vanessa Kirby. I'm here for it. I trust Matt Shankman, who helmed most of WandaVision, right? He didn't direct every single one, but Matt Shankman did most of WandaVision, right?
Yeah, he did some WandaVision. Yeah.
So he's behind Fantastic Four. I trust his vision. I'll toss it up to you, Leo. How excited are you for this announcement, man? We've been talking about these forever. I feel like we've been speculating for the whole year now. Like,
I got G. Colby's comment up right here. We can finally end the forecast fan castings, man. It's like every week we get a new fan cast. We get a new rumored actor. Margot Robbie was supposed to be Sue Storm. We had, who else do we have? Vanessa Kirby went through the rumor mill.
Samara Weaving.
Like, oh my, Samara Weaving was another name. I'm like, all right, I just can't wait to see who it is. And I need them to get an F4 movie right, man. Because man, 2015 was not it. So I was just like, all right, I think I'm okay with whoever they cast. Just go ahead and give us a good movie, man.
That's how I feel.
This IP has been through the ringer. So give us a great Fantastic Four movie. That'd be a cast. I'm pretty much down. I actually wanted William Jackson Harper, who was in Ant-Man, as some random citizen in the quantum realm. I wanted him to be Reed Richards, but yeah, that's out the window. So, but man, I'm super excited for that. Superman Legacy. We already have a number of castings. So when James Gunn said that, I was like, who else do you have? I mean, you've got Superman, you've got Lois, and then they've got this hodgepodge. There's a Green Lantern showing up, played by Nathan Fillion. I mean, you've got a hodgepodge of cast already. Girl has been cast.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a bunch of announcements already for Superman. So I'm wondering what else are they going to announce? Like,
yeah, I'm like, who else? Oh, you know what? Lex. We still got or whoever's going to be the villain. I don't think it's going to be Lex Luthor. We still got Jimmy Olsen, I think, is going to be involved. So, okay, we've got a couple of tentpole heads, but I'm like, really, Gunn? We can just wait on that, bro. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm just kind of like, I'm over the F4 fan castings, and then for Superman Legacy, I'm like, all right, who else besides our villain and Jimmy Olsen? Who else we got coming?
How about you, Deibs? I know you want a Fantastic Four film. Are you excited for these announcements, or are you sick of all the fan casting as it's been going on for like a full year now?
No, yeah, I thought we already heard about a lot of these. As someone that doesn't really pay attention to these things, I'm hoping for a small-scale Fantastic Four movie, the first family, man. I think some of the best stories with the Fantastic Four is them being a family. And I hope it is kind of a low-key, small story that's about them and their character development and their character arcs. That's what I'm looking for with Fantastic Four, not like some big Avengers movie. Superman Legacy, did you say the Green Lanterns were cast in Superman Legacy?
Yeah, so there's one Green Lantern played by Nathan Fillion who's been cast. And I'm like, okay, Guy Gardner, no Hal Jordan, no Jon Stewart yet, but they just wanted to get a lantern in there.
All right. So that's not where I would have gone with that. But I was hoping for kind of some of the same, like, slow roll it. Superman Legacy, develop Lex Luthor, develop Lois.
So Deibs,
Arc.
I don't know if you heard about this, but here's what we got so far. We got Isabella Merced, who was Dora the Explorer. She's Hawk Girl. We got Eddie Gathegi, who will be Mr. Terrific. He was the guy that was Darwin in First Class.
Yeah, okay.
And Anthony Carrigan's playing Metamorpho. So we got a bunch of like random characters. It feels like Suicide Squad again. Like, it's kind of weird, but
well, and some of the rumors that have been going around is like, oh, they'll just be like quick little cameos because, to my knowledge, we're introduced to James Gunn's DCU in a way that the universe has already been going. So like once we get into Superman Legacy, heroes have been around in this society for a while. So I can see them trying to do like a couple of quick cameos, but I'm like, I don't need too many, man. I don't know. When I saw Multiverse of Madness, I was kind of like, all right, I don't need the cameos. So we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah. Little scared about those announcements. I've not heard of those. I think Superman works just like Fantastic Four. You got to slow it down a little bit and make it about some of these, primary characters. Like give Lois a good amount of screen time. Give Lex a lot of screen time. Build that development. There's no need to rush it. The fact that they're like going full in to the Green Lanterns has me a little concerned about this.
By the way, Deibs, have you ever gotten into Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
No, I never watched that, but I'm excited. I've heard really good things about the show and the actress.
Yeah, she's gonna be Lois Lane, Rachel Brosnahan.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Big fan of her. Yep.
So yeah, we'll see. At this point, I just want a trailer. I want a Fantastic Four trailer. I just want to watch Superman. Like, there's just been so much speculation and rumors. Like, I'm kind of over it, to be honest. But trusting James Gunn and also trusting Matt Shankman, I think we're gonna be okay. It's just we've been waiting so long that we're just like salivating at this point. Like, just give it to us, give us the movie.
Yeah,
we'll see.
man. And you know, My Adventures with Superman really, in my opinion, captured a really cool Superman story where it's like, okay, Superman, Lois, and Jimmy are like young and they're developing. And I was like, man, that would be a great live action Superman movie. So I'm kind of hoping, like Deibs was saying, we still get that tight-knit focus on Superman and Lois. Like, let's still focus on our core characters here. And hey, if those people are just like a couple of minute cameos, okay, that's fine. And then we get back to the story, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant about that. Like, they like the heart, like that show is incredible. That Superman show is so well made. And that's what Superman Legacy needs to grasp, the heart of Superman and his family. And I hope Fantastic Four does a lot of the same rather than jumping into Doctor Doom like from the jump. That would be a mistake.
Yeah, and we've seen so many bad Doctor Dooms already. Colby said waiting on Fantastic Four is us waiting on the No Way Home trailer in 2021. Exactly. Like, we heard all this different stuff and we didn't know what was going to happen, and then it finally happened. But yeah, totally, Colby. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. If you guys didn't know...
Look at this comment real quick. Imagine The Rock returns as Crypto. The movie. It's going to change the scope of DC again, man.
Woof, woof.
Don't get me started on that.
If you guys didn't know, it is spooky season. So let's just jump into the box office, check the pulse a little bit. Surprise, surprise. Horror films do well in October. The Exorcist Believer has topped the box office with 45.1 million worldwide. We're going to get into the movie a little bit later. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. But I'm not surprised. I mean, Saw X had it last weekend, I believe, right, Leo?
Yeah.
Saw X had it last weekend. Taylor Swift's going to take it next weekend. But, you know, it's just that time of the year. And you mentioned it earlier, Leo. Like, this has been a great year for horror. And minus some of these cash grabs and like the Nun 2s, like the ones that are just deliberately trying to just bank on the jump scares and get audiences all spooked up with cheap scares. There's been some great films like Talk to Me or Cobweb.
Oh,
and, you know, even I liked Megan, going back to Megan in January. So I think this has been a pretty solid year for horror. I'll throw this down to you, Deibs, really quickly, because we're going to talk about it later. Did you see The Exorcist Believer yet?
No.
Okay. Well, that says what you need to know right there. Any interest?
No, not really. I did see Talk to Me. Phenomenal film. Really enjoyed it. There's another horror movie that I really enjoyed like over the last 2 months. If you could throw some horror movies out, I cannot think of the title. I think it was Smile, actually. Smile. Okay. I really enjoyed Smile. I thought I was not expecting it to be that good by any means. Cobweb was good too. I had a lot of fun with Cobweb. So The Exorcist Believer, you let me know if I should see this because I don't know.
We'll get into it. And Leo,
man,
are you surprised? I was gonna say we loved it. I mean, we didn't love it, but I mean, Leo, were you surprised at all? I mean, I'm not surprised it made money.
Nah, man. The only thing I'm looking at here is I'm like, I know David Gordon Green and everybody over at Blumhouse was like, push this shit back from Taylor Swift, push it away, because they had it on the same release date as the Taylor Swift movie. And I'm like,
right.
Yeah, you don't want to run into the Eras tour on the same weekend. So Eras tour literally bumped this ahead a week. I hated the ending, and the ending just completely ruined it for me. However, I'm not surprised at all. The Exorcist franchise is such a big horror franchise, and that first one completely changed the scope of horror back in the 70s. I really think that any of these big franchise horror movies, they come out in October, they're going to come swinging, bro. And see, I'm going to need Disney to take notes and not release Haunted Mansion in July. Look at what happens when you release stuff in October, Disney. Any kind of spooky family shit could be doing pretty well right now because Exorcist Believer, Saw X, there's no like family Halloween-y movie. That would have been a perfect first weekend of October, would have been a perfect, or last weekend of September would have been a perfect drop for Haunted Mansion, but
yes,
middle of July, I guess.
Like, just for context, like this weekend, Exorcist is number 1, but guess what's number 2? Freaking Paw Patrol, guys. Like, this is a slow season right now, guys. Paw Patrol, the Mighty Paws, is number 2 at the box office.
I did see Paw Patrol. I can talk about a recent movie. My daughter loved it.
Nice. Well, that's who it's for, right? I mean, what did you think, Deibs?
Paw Patrol. It's a very formulaic, like predictable superhero movie.
Okay.
But it centers around Sky, who is my daughter's favorite Paw Patrol character. So she was
Aw.
all in. She was all in on it. There's some funny parts. I was actually impressed. Like I expected it to be so cringe. I expected it to be, 2 hours of just bad, a bad film. It's way better than I expected it to be. There's some kind of like superhero cliches in there that you'll recognize, of course. So overall, it was probably like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. But my daughter enjoyed it, and that's what matters.
Now hold
Nice.
on, you was saying it, man. You was talking up here like it was good. 5 out of 10. Don't see it, huh?
But it's a Paw Patrol movie, Leo.
Hey, he didn't give it a 1. I mean, that's progress. That's progress. So I think Crystal was talking about Haunted Mansion, about them fumbling. And look, Crystal, as a fan of the ride, and I actually really enjoyed the film, I don't understand. Like nothing about the Haunted Mansion screams summer, July, first week of July movie. So I don't know what happened there. That was such a mistake.
Did you guys see A Haunting in Venice?
I did actually.
Was that good?
It was cool, but it wasn't really a horror film. It was a
Hercule.
Poirot film.
Poirot, it very much. I was like, okay, that box office performance could have been outshined by Haunted Mansion. They could have came out in the same week, and it would have been like, hey, there's a family one, and then there's this Hercule Poirot movie. Which, and by also, the way, it was better than the last one, but not as good as Orient Express. I don't know.
Like I was happy to see Michelle Yeoh, and I actually like Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot, but who is asking for these films? Like nobody asked for Death on the Nile. Nobody asked for Haunting in Venice. Like where is this?
Well, I asked for Death on the Nile. Excuse me.
Okay, Miss Gal Gadot stan, but still, besides you, who wanted Death on the Nile? I thought Murder on the Orient Express was a good one and done. Like Murder on the Orient Express was cool, and just leave it alone. Like
who does it better, man? Knives Out does them way better.
Not even close.
Way better.
And I was gonna say, Knives Out clears all of them
easily.
Yeah. Great movie.
So that being said, let's keep it trucking, you guys. This is like already too much time spent on the Exorcist believer. All right, so we will also dig into this in just a few minutes here, but Ahsoka season 2 is looking promising after the finale. There's been no official announcements, but I mean, little minor spoiler alert, guys. If you guys haven't seen the finale, there's a lot of open threads. There's a lot of different ways these storylines and these characters can go in different directions at this point. We're going to get into major spoiler territory later, so this is just a kind of a formal announcement that we're probably going to get a season 2. It just hasn't been officially announced yet. How do you feel about this, though, Deibs? I mean, I know this wasn't the show that you were expecting, but how do you feel about the future of Ahsoka?
I'm excited. In Dave Filoni, I trust. Yeah, it didn't quite go as well as I hoped with Ahsoka, because I know he had a huge hand in that. I know Jon Favreau, I think, wrote a lot of the other kind of Star Wars Disney Plus stuff, but I know Dave Filoni had a big piece of this, and it didn't always click. I thought it got better and better and better, and I'm looking forward to that in season 2. There's definitely storylines I'm excited for. I'm excited for the Dave Filoni movie. Yeah, I'm excited. Like I see this as like an Avengers-esque team up, where everyone is eventually going to get together and take down a common enemy, most likely Thrawn, which I'm really excited about. So all in all, I am excited for not just season 2 of Ahsoka, but where we're headed with Mando and beyond.
Yeah, the Avengers lead up we truly needed, man. I mean, honestly, I can't wait to see these characters come together to take on Thrawn. I didn't love Mando season 3, but I still really enjoyed it, and I love the Mandalorian show. I'm excited to see him again, getting to the Ahsoka characters in there and the Rebels characters in there as well. I'm excited for the Filoni movie a lot, so I can't wait for the future. It just makes me wonder. I was like, I thought that was like it. Like, I thought it was like, okay, we have this season, and then we go to the Filoni, and that wraps it up. But Ahsoka season 2, I guess something's in between there. So have to wait and see how that's handled.
I think so. This kind of goes into spoilers. It's not really spoilers, but like even like my take on all this is like when Ahsoka got really good, and it got me so excited for what's to come. Like it just made me hate the Star Wars sequels even more. Did anybody else have that? Like I'm not I hate how it all got botched. You know, I'm actually a Last Jedi fan, but I'm not a fan of Force Awakens. I'm not a fan of like all that stuff. Like to me, I wish just Dave Filoni would retcon everything beyond what's happening right now and just let him cook. Let Dave Filoni cook and do what he wants to do moving forward, because I think everything was so botched that I'm like, the more I think about what could happen with Ahsoka season 2 and the Dave Filoni movie, then it takes me to the First Order, and then it gets so messy, it gets so muddy. I would reboot the hell out of Star Wars if they have the opportunity, because Dave Filoni, he does have a lot of that George Lucas romanticism, like storylines, themes that I think he could crush with this. But he's got his hands behind his back because of how terrible those sequels were, man. Just my
funny enough though, Deibs, like as much as Rise of Skywalker is what it is, Filoni was slowly creeping his fingers, starting from The Mandalorian to Book of Boba Fett to Ahsoka now, a little bit of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like we slowly started creeping our way over there, So I think we're heading in the right direction.
Thank goodness, because Rise of Skywalker, listen, I really liked Force Awakens. I love The Last Jedi. I could talk on hours for how much I love that movie.
Cool.
And then The Rise of Skywalker, God, so bad. I'm sorry. And I hated the end of the trilogy.
I was going to say, before we really, really dig in, let me just say one thing really quick. Let me just get this off my chest. The internet was in an uproar because Star Wars posted a poster of Sabine Wren, and in the Star Wars official website, they've listed her as a Jedi. Stay mad, y'all. Stay mad. There is like 1,000 people like, well, Sabine's not a Jedi. Shut up. She was trained not only by Ahsoka, she was trained by Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah.
Starting with Trials of the Darksaber, her Jedi training started back then.
Yeah.
She is not a Mary Sue. She is a Mandalorian warrior.
Yeah.
Get out. That's all I gotta say. Get out. She
Drop the mic low. Boom.
I will not stand for it. Like the internet is crazy right now. Like
it's death, taxes, and Star Wars fans being mad about Star Wars. That's just how it rolls.
Always.
But like that Trials of the Darksaber sequence where Kanan's training Sabine, I will show that to any Star Wars fan that's never seen the animated series, just to show them how much heart and emotion can be in a 2-minute scene that's animated. Like show it to Gabe. He would probably make fun of me.
Hey,
it's so good. It's so good that you literally feel for Sabine, and you don't, even if you don't know her, like you feel for her, just spilling her guts and everything. It's amazing.
Literally, Deibs, I rewatched it before episode 6 of Ahsoka, and I was tearing up, and I've seen Trials of the Darksaber already. I was tearing up because it's just so good. It's so well written. Like him just questioning her, like, why? And she's like, they used me as a weapon. Like, oh,
you know what? You know what, man? Like the trials, her being a Mandalorian, she's not a Mary Sue. Like, come on, she's a trained warrior. Like it. To me, it's weird that the Star Wars fandom, and I could say this also about Rey too, because she was trained with a bow staff. I'm like, why are we calling these characters Mary Sues and they're weapon masters? Like they're literal weapon masters, but they're Mary Sues because they can use a lightsaber. Of course they can use a lightsaber. She can battle. She's battled with a Darksaber. She's a Mandalorian. That's not out of anywhere.
Mandalorians are literally trained to kill Jedi. That is their function. That is what they are as a warrior. They're meant to train their ass off and kill Jedi.
What's funny is when Fen Rao gave her gauntlets, her wrist gauntlets, he was like, yeah, those anti-Jedi weapons will help even the battle, like.
Well, and guys, we'll just go ahead and hit the finale.
By the way, hold on. We just did a Star Wars character ranking, and no one said Bo-Katan. I got to give Bo a quick shout out before we go ahead.
Man.
That just destroys me. I'm sorry. Bo needs to be in my honorable mentions. I love Bo.
Oh, she's so good. And they've done
And
her
actually-
well, in my opinion, in live action. She's killed it in the fucking Mandalorian shows.
And before we get into Ahsoka, Deibs, because we haven't talked in a long time, did you feel that look when Din Djarin and Bo-Katan were next to each other at the campfire? And then they kind of like rubbed shoulders and then they kind of looked at each other.
Man,
like,
they were shipping those two.
Were you guys feeling that? I was like totally like, yes!
Yes, they were shipping the hell out of them. And then Mando said bye in the last episode and went on his little island with Grogu.
I honestly don't remember. I'm gonna have to rewatch
that. But at the end though, Grogu was protecting mommy and daddy. I was like, yes,
See?
like
Yes.
Grogu was like, that's my mommy and daddy.
My
He was
parents!
like force shielding them. I was like, yes.
This man is saving his parents, damn it.
Yeah.
Yep. Crystal
But
Kuiper
yeah,
agrees with
there
us.
you go. Crystal
They're in
knows.
love.
I love Bo and Din. I'm shipping them so hard.
Listen,
That's
Dinbo, Bowden, whatever we're gonna call him, they're in love, baby. Love is in the air, baby. All right, guys, let's talk some Ahsoka finale real quick and let's just get some general thoughts out. Let's talk about it, guys, because I don't know if you guys would agree with me, but I walked into this show really thinking I was going to get a very Ahsoka-centric show. Honestly, what all of episode 5 was what I thought I was going to get with the show. Like, I thought I was going to get flashbacks with Anakin. I thought I was going to get some Clone Wars stuff, but also diving deeper into her past, her origins. And we didn't get that. It was very much a Rebel season 5. And for a Rebels fan, after episode 5, I was really wrapped in it because I was like, okay, by this point, this is a Rebel show. Fine, I'm just going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace that this is Rebel season 5, and I'm back with these characters. We're getting Ezra back. We got to see Thrawn live action. We got Hera live action. All the Ghost crew. So I was really excited at that point to just continue getting more. But I got to admit, the first like 3-4 episodes, didn't love. I thought the pacing was a little rough. I was thinking I was going to get an Ahsoka show, and it kind of felt like the Sabine show for a bit. So I was a little roughed out with the first like 3 to 4 episodes. But for me, episode 5 and on had a very strong ending, wrapped it up very well. But Deibs, as our guest, our guy, let us know, man, what were your thoughts on Ahsoka? How'd you feel about that finale? And what do you think about the future?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it really slowly ramped up. Once it got good, it was really good. But unless you were like a Rebels fan, I totally get why fans like would be completely turned off by this. Like this show was purely made for Rebels fans. They were counting on the audience to provide emotional content because the show gave no effort to explain why you should give a damn about any of these characters. Like when they were shoving Ezra down your throat, like why would they literally talked about him a couple of episodes, then he shows up towards the end of the season. Why would you care about Ezra? Like there's a lot of things like that that were problems. You know, you look at Balin's story arc. You look at Dave Filoni saying, "Oh, you don't need to know about Rebels heading into this." Literally, Balin's story arc comes from an episode in the Clone Wars, and unless you have seen the Clone Wars, you have no idea what he's doing right now or where he's going moving forward. So that was fake news. But for me, like there were some real positives, like you said, Leo. Like I liked how they wrapped it up at the very end. The bones of the show was really good. I really liked how they worked in Ahsoka and Ezra and Sabine's arc. I feel like there was a really good conclusion. I thought the payoff was really well done. Like Sabine finding the strength to use the Force because she finally learned how to let Ezra go. And everything was really well done in many respects with how the Jedi and attachment and all that kind of stuff. That's that George Lucas like romanticism that I love about Dave Filoni. He truly understands it. But there are some things I didn't like the writing was missing something at times, which doesn't make sense because you look at Dave Filoni in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and some of the story arcs in those shows are some of the peak Star Wars content ever. Twilight of the Apprentice, the Siege of Mandalore, Kanan's death and its aftermath. There was some questionable story writing as well. Like, you look at Boba Fett and all the flashbacks we got in Boba Fett. Like this, if you're going to make a Rebels season 5, why not use the flashbacks of all this amazing source material and just use it as live action, like Twilight of the Apprentice and all these different things they could have gone, or Sabine. And there were just gaps missing. And the overall emotional core of the show was definitely missing, unless you were a Star Wars fan. So it wasn't up to par as like Andor, which I thought was an incredible show. But overall, it was probably like a 7 out of 10. I still enjoyed it. I'm still excited for where it's going to go. And I've got a lot of predictions here. But overall, I just feel bad for people that didn't watch Rebels because a lot of it was probably pretty confusing.
Yeah, what's weird is I do have so I've got 2 friends that watched Ahsoka that did not watch Rebels who had exact opposite reactions. I had one friend who was like, "Oh, I'm like wrapped in, I'm dialed into it." And then I had another friend who was like, "I have no idea what's going on, dude." And for me, I think that Rebels is an absolute requirement to watch this show. Like, after watching it all the way, I was kind of like, okay, 3, 4, 5, maybe you can watch a couple episodes of Clone Wars, a couple episodes of Rebels. But by the time we're meeting Ezra, and it's like you said, Deibs, there are opportunities to really make us care even deeper about these characters in a live action sense. And we could even fill in some gaps of like, okay, Ezra's been gone. Like, give us a little bit of like what's been up. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. So it leaves more room to be desired. And I just wish it was easier to watch as somebody who was just like a fan of the live action content and just maybe just followed the movies, followed Mando. It should have been a little bit easier for Star Wars fans to get into. And I just feel like the Rebels inclusion is such a double-edged sword. But once we get to episode 5, I was like, okay, this is an effective use of the flashbacks. Bringing fucking Hayden Christensen back to play Clone Wars,
The best.
Anakin, I'm like, this is great. Like, use the actor who played Ezra to play like a little past version of him, maybe when he's been missing. Or honestly, listen, Cobra Kai does this. Just give them some Rebels clips. Fuck it. I mean, like, it's like, hey, you have the archive, you've got the clips, put them in there. I mean, at this point, it's like, look at the way that it happens in Cobra Kai. It feels so seamless. If you just squeeze some of them in there, that'd be awesome. Also, there's not enough Kanan reference, I don't think. Like, he comes up a few times in the show, and I'm like, I mean, that was such an integral character to the Rebels crew. It's weird that he's mentioned like once or twice. Hera barely mentions him. I'm like, all right, this is a little weird that he feels so missing from all of this. And then there's some scenes in the show where I thought that they were supposed to be very emotionally packed and they just weren't. So hits and misses. I'm a little bit higher, only a little bit at a 7.5. But I just think that there were some more opportunities as well. I just think there's more opportunities to flesh out and really get new Star Wars fans into the Rebels crew through this show, because it became Rebels. So since it is a Rebel show, give us an entry-level Rebels introduction. Let us know who these people are a little bit. Give us some more. Give us some content between Rebels and this time as well. What all have these people been doing?
Especially when you have like such a fun device literally in the show, like the world between worlds, where you could like imagine if Ahsoka's like walking around. By the way, it was awesome to see Anakin at peace at that point. That was like peak, one of my favorite parts of the show. But like Ahsoka looks back and she sees her and Darth Maul fighting in the Clone Wars live action, like just for a clip, or Twilight of the Apprentice, or there's so many like missed opportunities that I think they could have done better. So like we had so many flashbacks in Boba. Like this was like, if you're going to make a Rebels season 5 and introduce for the first time Rebels fans into live action Star Wars, that was the opportunity. And I feel like they just dropped the ball.
Zeb nowhere to be found. Yeah, not in this show. I mean, he popped up in Mando season 3, so
he'll be there with probably Ezra and Hera at the end. I'm sure he shows up there.
And Callus, Agent Callus.
Yeah.
Love that guy. I love his whole arc from chasing them down, and then he became Fulcrum. Loved it.
Also, I saw a Twitter post. Somebody was complaining, why didn't Anakin appear to Luke in The Last Jedi? He's not his master. These people, the masters appear to their apprentices. Luke had Yoda to come to him, and he had Obi-Wan to come to him in his hardest time of his life.
Yes.
Who the fuck is Anakin and Luke besides his biological father? I mean, for most of it, it's like, it's like for most of it, you're my enemy. For most of the time, he knew Darth Vader. He was his fucking enemy. So I'm like, what does he have to say to him? Hey, man, I force choked you a couple times, but I can teach you how to. It would be weird for Anakin to appear to Luke Skywalker, but him appearing to Ahsoka at the very end, man, that had me tearing up, man. That was a beautiful moment.
Yep.
The way they use Hayden in this show and the way that they're reincorporating him into like these Star Wars shows, so well done. I mean, he's the best parts of Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, and Anakin are the best parts of that show. So the way that they're putting him back in, they're killing it on that front.
I got chills seeing the armor, the Clone Wars armor on him. It gave me chills.
Right.
I was like, oh my god, we finally got it.
Right.
Yeah, Loretto, we've been talking about that for years, and that was
literally.
And I'm just so glad people are starting to see it. I think, like I said earlier at the start of the show, like there's been a lot of misses, but I truly respect the effort to kind of redeem Hayden Christensen's character in all of this, and he's such a better character than they did in the prequel films and things like that. He's such a badass in Clone Wars and Rebels and all the above. So that's been amazing. That the sequence with him and Ahsoka and training and the Clone Wars live action sequence, so good, man. That was one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite episode.
Yeah, that was easily my favorite. I love the resolution of her choosing life and the white. The rebirth. I love that. I like that they're using light versus dark, and it's Darth Vader. Literally, I'm like, I love that. I love the blips between Anakin and Vader. So good, man. Like that was just beautifully illustrated. That episode, I was like, this is gonna be the best fucking episode, ain't it? And yeah, it turned out to be the best one for me. Low, I feel like you're a little higher than us, man. I feel like you loved it, didn't you? You loved it, huh?
No, to be honest, I'm actually on the same exact wavelength, to be honest. And I thought that Deibs illustrated it perfectly because I just kind of wanted to like touch on that because or piggyback, so to say, because it's weird. In a way, they like pleased Rebels fans in a little bit, but they didn't fully give us everything. And same thing with casual audiences. Like they gave us enough to have fun with, but casual audiences are probably still wondering what the hell is going on. They probably feel like they need to watch Rebels now. For example, when we see Sabine exiting Lethal on the highway, like that highway that we've seen in the show so many times, and she's on her motorcycle, it's a cool scene, but regular audiences have no idea who she is. And then afterwards, she's just sitting quietly, and we're watching her. We don't know who she is yet, but Rebels fans are like, oh my god, it's Sabine. And then, casual fans are probably watching like, who is this girl? And they don't explain that she's Mandalorian. I think Hera mentions it casually on like a hologram to Ahsoka. But again, how many casuals picked that up that she mentioned that she was Mandalorian? We see her in her helmet for like 10 seconds. She doesn't blow anything up because I was rewatching Rebels and she was like blow stuff up. She didn't blow anything up once in Ahsoka. And also I really liked the sequence where she discovered she could use the Force and she was helping Ezra jump onto the ship. I thought that was cool.
So good.
But where the hell is her jetpack? What happened to her jetpack? She has a jetpack. like we're over here, we're Force jumping onto starships when she's a freaking Mandalorian. Where is her jetpack? It's like it just disappeared. It's just gone. And for example, I love the space whales. I love the Purgle. It warms my heart. It's one of the reasons why I like Avatar: Way of Water. I love that connection of like these intergalactic space whales that can travel through hyperspace. Like that's cool. So
they fucking booked it the next episode though.
but it makes me wonder, right? Like Ezra was gone for 15 years. Ahsoka and Sabine were training, looking for him. It took 15 years for them to figure out they could probably just hook up with the whales. Like that part of it was kind of like a stretch of imagination for me. Like it was like this ascending moment in the clouds, but in my head, I'm like, you guys were waiting years until you figured that out. Like I just thought that was kind of like convenient for the story. So that was kind of odd. And I love Lars Nicholson. I love his voice. But I think there's something about his demeanor, like, because he's obviously older now. Like when he recorded Rebels, it was like about a decade or so ago, give or take, when Rebels first came out. And I love Lars Mikkelsen. I just feel like he looks tired. Like his voice is there and he still can do the Thrawn mannerisms, but he looks tired and it's not his fault. He's just older. So that part was kind of interesting. Like I liked seeing Thrawn, but it also wasn't the intimidating like kind of Thrawn that we were so used to seeing in Rebels. Like he was an imposing figure. He actually went hand to hand with Agent Callus. He knocked Callus out. Like he whooped his ass. Actually,
beat the shit out of him. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now we see him and he's an old man now, and he's kind of chubs and he's like holding his. He looks like it looks like he's like slowly walking around, and it's like, oh damn, has it been that long? It's been long, huh, Thrawn? And that was kind of like an interesting thing to see. It's not so much a bad thing. It just feels like maybe they could have recast the actor, maybe, because I feel like I still want to see the Thrawn that we were so scared of in Rebels, and it just doesn't feel like we got that. We just got an older, wiser Thrawn. That's I don't know. Does that make sense, guys? Am I reaching for straws?
It literally took him how many years to find Ezra? He couldn't find a single Jedi on the entire planet, and he's meant to be this like earth-shattering intellect. Like nothing presented in the show made me feel like he's this big threat. Did anybody feel that? Like
when he was first on screen, I was like, oh my God, like Thrawn, we finally got him. Like I was hyped to see him. And then it just kind of flatlined after that. I'm like, oh, he doesn't do anything. He's not even like the last threat, really. The Night Sister is. So I think they actually dropped the ball on all of the villains involved here. Baylan Skoll is barely involved towards the end of it.
Well, so they build up Shin Hati. Yeah. And she stabs Sabine in the first episode, and you're like, oh my God, there's gonna be a rivalry. There's gonna be so much interesting things with her. Nothing happens with her. She just looks at them a couple times. Like she looks at Ahsoka and Sabine and just runs away. And it's like,
I actually love that scene though, that she was like, let me help you. I was like, the Jedi Ahsoka, oh my God, like let me help you. Let me get you into the right place. And yeah, she ran away, and I'm like, all right, I want to know so much more about her and Baylan Skoll. And we're saving him for season 2.
So that's where I say like trim the fat. Like make this about the Trinity, make this about Ahsoka, make it about Sabine, make it about Ezra. That's it. And then maybe use some flashbacks with like Thrawn and Ezra or something with some fun Rebels sequences from the past. But like this, do we really need Baylan? Do we really need Shin? Do we really need all this like filler in this show? Probably not. They didn't need it. Like the characters are great in itself. And I feel like they dropped the ball, making us emotionally invested in these characters. And it paid. I enjoyed it because I'm a Rebels junkie. But for like someone that doesn't know what's going on, like it was just kind of all over the place. It was just typical like MCU Star Wars type of stuff where there's so many characters and nothing really makes sense. Nothing's really logical. Like I don't know.
And also I feel like the most we get out of Rosario, and I love her as Ahsoka, it's all episode 5, and that's like the depth of her emotion, and then her personality changes going to 6 and 7, but there was no depth to her, and it's like that's her show. It's not an Ahsoka show. They did the same thing with Boba Fett. They could have done so much more with Ahsoka, and like you guys, I enjoyed the action and the seeing Hayden and the fun stuff. I enjoyed, but I just thought there'd be more to it. More
to it, man. It just feels like there's a lot missing. Like I could go back again and watch all the episodes and be like, I think there's some pieces to the puzzle that just aren't quite there. And that's kind of where I was left with the ending, the finale. I was like, really liked it, really liked Hayden coming back at the very end. But there's a lot of pieces that felt missing. I mean, Baylan Skull and Shin Hati aren't even I don't even think they're in the finale. And I thought the Night Sister being the last big threat, what a weird way to sum that up. Like, she's sidelined for most of this. So I thought, why throw her in as the last villain? And I mean, listen, I didn't think the lightsaber combat was horrible, but it was like you were saying earlier, Lo, there were some weird shot choices. We're watching Ahsoka deflect blasts, but then they cut to her back. And I was like, this is the weirdest shot you could have used to show a Jedi deflecting beams. I mean, you're showing them from the back. It just didn't really make sense to me. Some of it did look stiff. Some of the combat, like Sabine was like kicking someone in one of the shots, and it just looked a little choreographed, like highly choreographed. And I was like, it wasn't horrible. I had some stuff that I loved, but some of the fighting was a little tight. Oh, so she's no Ashley.
Yeah, she's showing some love for Ashley Eckstein. If you guys didn't know, she voiced Ahsoka in Clone Wars and Rebels. Ashley had the heart, and I gotta say, the line delivery of when she's facing Vader and she's like, "I am no Jedi," like
so good, man.
It makes me want to go to war. Like, that's really great. But guys, let's try to stay on some positive stuff here. I'm just so happy Kevin Kiner's finally getting some spotlight here. He did amazing work as always. I don't know about you guys, but like, it was like the reverse of a Game of Thrones. Like, whenever I used to watch Game of Thrones, I would always watch the intro because I love the score. I would always watch the Ahsoka credits because her Ronin score was immaculate. The dun dun dun. I was just like, oh my god, like I wasn't even like crazy about the episode, but I'm just like loving the credits because of the score. So shouts out Kevin Kiner. And yeah, it's just like you said, Deibs, I think you summed it up with a lot of missed opportunities. I think that's how I overall feel, but I didn't hate the show. I enjoyed it. But
yeah, I would definitely watch it over again, which is can't say that for a lot of Disney Plus shows. But I am excited for where it's headed. Are we going to talk predictions and stuff soon?
Sure. Yeah. Let's shoot out some predictions.
Let's dig into it.
All right. So obviously it ends with Baylan and the Mortis gods, which is a huge piece of the Clone Wars about the father, the son, and the daughter. I'm probably going to butcher this, Low. So if I'm wrong,
I got you.
I'm an idiot. So please correct me. So Anakin's there. Anakin has a history with being the father, and now that he's kind of had his redemption, he's in play. I imagine Thrawn is bringing some sort of crates of Night Sisters or something along those lines to Dathomir. That's probably a pretty good prediction. And that right, you look at Baylan, he's probably exploring the Mortis gods as well. Is it Morbus or Mortis?
Mortis.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then you look at Thrawn, he's probably going to reconnect with the Great Mother and, unleash his Night Sisters onto wherever. I don't know. I want to hear what Loretto thinks about the whole Mortis gods thing, because that's something that I don't really remember a lot of back in the.
See, what I loved about the actual Mortis arc is it really dove into the philosophy of the Chosen One.
Yeah.
So if you recall, Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Is that the arc where it was like the father and the daughter and they were light and dark?
Yeah, and they end up on this like it was like it wasn't an anomaly of a planet. They got stranded there, and then they were faced with an ultimatum because those are the most powerful Force wielders in all the universe.
Yep.
And the father straight up told Anakin, "You are the chosen one, but now you have to choose." And then he held up Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. He was going to kill one of them, and Ahsoka represented the light, and Obi-Wan represented the dark of which one he would kill. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And then eventually, awesome. Like long story short, the actual daughter sacrifices herself to save them from the father and their fate you know, and I just thought it was really interesting, the philosophy of the Chosen One, giving Anakin an actual moral choice of, you know, if he chooses this way or another, this is, and then they also showed him his future in that episode. They showed him become
Vader
Darth
shit,
Vader
so
in the
tight.
Clone Wars. I was like, oh my god, they showed him on Mustafar. That arc is beautiful, but yeah, it's really interesting. So I think what Balin's trying to do is capture like either the Son spirit or the Father spirit, because I think the Son spirit is like still in play. The daughter transferred her soul into the owl. That's why when we see Morai the owl, it's always on Ahsoka's arm, or actually in Ahsoka we see her in the distance. I was like, she's here. So like I think that's definitely going to come into play. We might see Ahsoka go back to the world between worlds. And actually, you know, to be honest, like you, Deibs, I was hoping we would see her run to like at least one or two portals of something. And I thought it was kind of weird that we didn't get that. But
nothing. But yeah, shit. Man, y'all are the pros of Clone Wars, man. I've blown through it one time and I loved it, and I loved Rebels, but I've been through it both once. What upsets me the most, I think, about the show is that it didn't tell you, like, hey, go watch Rebels again, because I would have went and watched Rebels and done my homework a little bit, but I at least know the characters and know a little bit about what's going on with them, but I'm going to go back and watch again.
I think Balin's end game, though, just to kind of tie a ribbon on it, his end game is to embody the spirit of the Father and be the all-knowing, all-powerful force wielder. Yeah, he's trying to harness that spirit.
But what does he want to do with that power?
Right.
That's interesting, too. Because it doesn't seem like he's a bad guy.
Right, because he was hesitant about killing Ahsoka and all that.
He
so I'm like, okay. He almost seemed a little gray Jedi-ish at times. Yeah. So I'm like, what's his motive? I want to know what's going on.
He wants to just kill the balance. You know, I don't know. That's just my vibe. I have one stone cold lock for where this is headed. There is no doubt in my mind that Ezra will train Jason, Hera's daughter.
Oh yeah.
Daughter, son. I think
son.
That Ezra will become a master for Hera's son at some point down the road. That is a lock, stone cold lock.
Ooh, here's a good question. Oh, go ahead, Lo.
Really, really quick. Were you guys at all? I was kind of annoyed with the fact that, like, why wasn't Hera like happy to see Ezra? It almost looked like she wasn't like happy. She was just like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Like it was like what? Like that's.
I thought she had a decent reaction. I'm kind of surprised, you know.
They didn't even give us a hug. They kind of like stopped and were like, "Huh?"
It's like her long lost son that she never had before Jason. Like, come on, like, oh, that was weird. Like,
this is a good question. Weird. Who kills Thrawn?
Crystal's saying Grogu. I would love to see that. Actually.
I'd be down for that because I need Grogu to make the character jump he should make, because I'm like, dude, we're still cooling and cawing 3 seasons in. Like, I need this guy to get the Darksaber and do some shit. Like, at this point, I'm ready.
I think it's Ezra. I think those two are connected.
Hey, but to be fair, Grogu killing Thrawn is kind of like Arya killing the Night King. Like,
listen, man, I need Grogu to do something. I thought Grogu was like the new Tav Vizsla. I thought he was the Jedi Mandalorian crossover that they were going to be, and we haven't gotten that yet. Like, I need Grogu to have some kind of big moment.
What about Bo? What about Bo? Like, Ezra has a lot of Kanan in him, where like he's so good, like. Kanan, what made Kanan so amazing was he's, even without his Jedi powers, like he's always wanting to do good or find a different route to save people, and he's like Spider-Man. Ezra's kind of the same way. So what about Bo just saying, F it, and just cuts his head off or something?
All right, fuck it then.
Yeah. All right, you won't do it? I'll do it. All right, move on.
Interesting. And actually, this is interesting. Crystal thinks that Mary Elizabeth Winstead shot a lot of the scenes by herself. But I feel like she still could have been happier. Like, did she even smile, guys, in that scene? Like,
no.
I thought it was kind of like a look of shock, like a little bit of kind of like, oh, like
right. But she was like teary-eyed and she didn't even like smile. I think a smile would have been appropriate. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It was so quick. Like it
no, and then it literally cuts. Like it cuts to black, and I'm just like,
what's God, who was the villain in The Last Jedi?
Snoke.
Snoke is definitely going to be in play at some point, right? Like that's where this is
yeah.
headed. Is
It's
the
in the
beginning
Mandalorian, they found those cloning chambers.
Yep.
And I think that's what
season 3.
I think that's what's his name?
Palpatine?
Giancarlo Esposito's character.
Oh, ooh. He's in Mando season 3. He's a main villain.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like that's what his end game was, like replicating that cloning process to create like a force wielding person. But his thing was, I think he wanted to put it in himself, right? The force powers.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon. But I think that leads to Snoke at some point.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think Snoke, he's gonna have a big time presence. Maybe not big time presence. I take that back.
Oh my god, Crystal's nailing it. Like the hug between Ahsoka and Ezra. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it was the most sincere.
Oh, so good.
Like, you would have sworn they were family. Like, they were friends from years ago, and that's how they played it. And that's why it was so weird. Like, Hera almost had zero reaction, and I was just like...
Very weird.
They're more interested in showing us the back of Hera. I feel like she barely gets any time in the show anyway.
Ezra is literally, like, part of that family, and it just makes no sense.
But yeah.
We got JHC who's like, please just move on with a soft reboot. No Snoke.
Right? Yes, exactly, JHC. Like, I wish they just retcon everything and give us like Darth Maul on Dathomir and just.
I'm down.
Let's get crazy. Let's get crazy.
You guys were talking about Snoke, and I'm gonna be real with you. I was like, I kind of hope not. I don't really need to see that again. I thought that was the most disappointing fucking ending for a villain ever. We get the Rise of Skywalker, and it's like, okay, so who the heck was this Snoke guy? He's just a clone in the tank. What?
But that's what this is. That's what this is like. It's the rise of the First Order. That's where we're going.
I'll just say, Leo, as long as they don't explain how Palpatine returns, because somehow is just a better way to explain it. That is the best way to explain
Palpatine returned.
Somehow.
Honestly, JHC was saying earlier he thinks this is all like a soft reboot of the sequel trilogy.
I would love it. I would love it.
I'm down. Because you know what? As much as I love The Last Jedi, I'm willing to let it go because of what happened with The Rise of Skywalker. I'm willing to let that shit go.
I would love like an Ahsoka versus Balin standoff, just like we saw with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan, where they literally just face each other and then rearrange the stances, and it's just like, and that's it. That's the entire fight, pure samurai style, like so anticlimactic. Just a throwback to that amazing fight between Maul and Obi-Wan. That'd be really cool.
Twin sons.
Yeah, twin sons.
So good. So good. Any last thoughts on Ahsoka, guys? Season 2? We excited? I'm pretty hype about season 2. I just hope if we're gonna do Ahsoka season 2, can we get a little bit more Ahsoka next time? Shit. Give us a little more Ahsoka and have her and Balin Skull have a final showdown. What'd you
guys think of the zombie stormtroopers?
I
wasn't like, underutilized. You thought?
It felt underutilized. Like, we just saw
like
them lumbering around, and then I don't understand why it took so long for the three of them to figure out, like, hey, let's just chop their heads off or something, because they were like, oh no, they keep coming. Like, I don't know, it's like Zombie 101 right there, man.
Like, it was cool, but like look-wise, I was like, okay, tight, but like I wasn't just like head over heels about it coming.
It kind of started out really cool, and it kind of got stupid.
Yeah.
What do you think? Shin turns good, or does Ahsoka like redeem her somehow, or do you think she goes bad without a master?
I think she is redeemed, because I think that moment between the two of them kind of seemed to me like maybe she wanted to get out of it. Like maybe she wasn't quite sure, but I don't want her to get redeemed, because I do want to see that showdown between her and Sabine.
It's
like, I gotta see that.
There's definitely going to be a showdown between Ahsoka and Shin. No question.
I can kind of see her going the Asajj route, where she's not necessarily good or bad, but she just wants to do her own thing. Because that was Asajj's thing, is like she didn't want to be a Sith anymore because they betrayed her and she had nowhere to go, but she also didn't want to be a good guy per se. She just wanted to do her own thing. Yes, I ship.
So I'm pissed as hell in that first episode when he called her. when he called her sister, you're like a sister to me. I was like,
They didn't
what?
reference it at all. Like Ezra always had the hots for Sabine, right?
Yes.
Always.
Always.
Yeah, and she was
And they
rejecting him all the
didn't-
time. And
Like I feel
no
like
reference.
I wish they did something there. Like,
Oh my
just
God. Okay.
opportunity.
So Deibs, I was rewatching when Sabine meets up with her parents to help reclaim Mandalore, and that like one of my favorite scenes. Ezra's like Sabine's dad was like, "Hey, you're with Sabine?" He's like, "Yeah." Well, not like with her, but like, yeah, I'm with her. You know, like I love that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, the whole yo, you're like my sister thing. I was like, you kind of had the crush on her the entire entire
Always.
Rebels
Always.
show, like.
And then he gonna come back and be like, "You were always like a sister to me." I was like, "Boy, you lying? The hell you talking about?" She was always
That
like
killed me. But you saw it, right, Leo? Like that killed me. I was like,
yeah, dude.
like,
I'm
what is-
gonna be real,
what?
guys. I know this is a minor nitpick. Get on me if you want. Man, I kind of want Amina Massoud to be Ezra, man. I'm watching this new cat, and it's not that he's a bad Ezra or anything, but yeah, they gave me the idea of Mina Massoud, and now I just see this dude. I'm like, man, that would have been cool to have Mina come back, bro. I would have loved to see him as
I like
Ezra.
this kid. I like Iman.
I liked him. I
Esfandi.
liked him. I didn't. Yeah, Iman Esfandi. I liked him, but I was like, I think I got attached to the idea of Mina being Ezra, and I'm like,
That's fair. He's very charming.
right.
He's very charming. I was very fond of his Aladdin. He's a handsome fellow.
handsome fella. All right, y'all. It's been a wonderful stream. Deibs, has been so good having you on the show, man. Let the people know where they can find you and what you got coming up.
A lot of sports content. I do sports all the time. MrCrockPot on Twitter, Edge of Philly Sports, Bleeding Green Nation. Do tons and tons and tons of NFL draft content, college football content, Eagles, Sixers, NBA draft, you name it. That's what I do.
Right on, my friend. And thank you so much for joining us this evening. And Lo, let the people know where they can find you and what's coming up.
Yeah. Proud editor, reviewer, critic at The Cinema Spot. Check us out, thecinemasspot.com, at The Cinema Spot on all socials. You can follow me at Marcellus Durden on Twitter and Letterboxd. I am still trying to get out of my writer's block, but I promise I will. Stay tuned for more content.
Dude, I get it. I'm just getting out of a video block myself, so I totally understand. But y'all, thank you so much for joining us this evening, guys. We've got some goodies coming up on Geekly Goods, y'all. Listen, I just dropped a video on the Exorcist Believer and why I hated it and that ending. Also went ahead and dropped a video on the latest Marvel stuff that's coming up. And of course, the TV shows and the synopses. You can go check that out over on the main channel on Geekly Goods. And then over on this channel, y'all, join us next week. We'll be back with another show. We enjoy seeing some new faces in the chat tonight. We saw Crystal. We saw a couple other new faces. JHC, you coming back regularly too. So thank you for coming. But y'all, come on back next time and we'll see you next time on Geekly Goods Live, baby. See ya.